I don't know how long I have before it happens again, so I need to get this out while I still recognize myself. My name is Alavo, and last night, my security camera captured someone standing right behind me. And the worst part? I live alone. When I first watched the footage, I felt my whole body go numb. It wasn't fear, something you can grasp, something your mind knows how to contain. This was different. This felt like my reality had slipped sideways, like I was staring at something I was never meant to see. And if you're hearing this right now, por favor subscribe to the channel so this story spreads. I honestly don't know what else to do, and someone out there needs to know this isn't just happening to me. The night it started, everything was quiet. Too quiet, actually. The kind of silence where you feel like the world is holding its breath. I had just gotten home from work another overtime shift at the warehouse. My shoulders aching, clothes sticking to my skin from the heat. I tossed my keys on the table and let out a long sigh. Another day over. Another night alone, or so I thought. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself some water, and leaned on the counter. I must have stayed there longer than I realized, just letting the cold glass sit against my palm, grounding me after a heavy day. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear the door. I didn't feel a draft. Nothing. But at 2:48 a.m. time, I wasn't even awake. The camera detected motion. That single word motion would flip my entire life upside down. I only saw the notification the next morning, when I woke up groggy and disoriented, feeling like I had slept at all. My phone was blinking with alerts. At first, I thought it was just a glitch. Cameras bugged out all the time, but then I opened the video. The footage started with me sitting on the couch, half asleep, staring blankly at the TV. I didn't even remember falling asleep there, but I did remember what happened next. In the video, behind me, something was standing in the hallway. Not moving, not breathing. Just watching. I leaned closer to the screen, squinting. The figure was tall, about my height, and oddly familiar. But the strangest thing was how still it was. It looked like a photograph pasted into the frame. Then I noticed something else. The figure wasn't casting a shadow, and the hallway light was on. My stomach tightened. I scrubbed through the footage, frame by frame, until my breath caught in my throat. The figure, it looked like me. Same build. Same way I tilt my head slightly to the right. But the face, you could call it, that was all wrong. The eyes were dark hollows. The skin was pale, stretched too tightly, like a version of me, scraped clean of humanity. And then, just as the camera timestamp hit 2:51 a.m., the figure's head snapped toward the camera. Fast. Too fast. Like it knew I would be watching later. The recording froze for a split second, just long enough for my heart to drop, then continued normally, and the figure was gone. No blur, no movement, just gone. I replayed the footage at least 10 times. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I kept checking my front door, the windows, the locks. Everything was intact. No forced entry. No signs of anyone hiding. No reasonable explanation. But nothing about this was reasonable anymore. I grabbed my phone, opened the security app, and switched to the bedroom camera. I shouldn't have done that. I should have stopped. Because what I saw next was 1,000 times worse. And that's where everything truly began to fall apart. I switched to the bedroom camera, expecting to see nothing, just me sleeping. Probably snoring, wrapped in the blankets like I always am. But the moment the footage loaded, I felt a cold wave roll through my body. My fingers went numb. My breathing stopped. Because there, in the far left corner of the room, someone was standing behind the door. At first, it looked like a shadow cast by the wardrobe, but the longer I stared, the more my mind refused to pretend it was just lighting. A figure. Tall. Immobile. Its head slightly tilted, like it was listening. Like it was waiting, and the timestamp. 3:06 a.m. That made my scalp prickle, because at 3:06 a.m., I woke up, gasping, heart slamming against my ribs after a nightmare so vivid I could still feel the sweat dripping down my spine. In the dream, someone whispered my name right against my ear. A whisper so cold it felt wet. I remember sitting up, looking around the room, trying to catch my breath. I thought it was just stress. I didn't see anything in the dark, but the camera did. And what it captured looked exactly like the figure from the living room. Same height as me. Same posture. Same horrifying stillness. The only difference was its phasor. What should be Bayana phasor. Instead of features, it was like someone had smoothed everything out. No eyes. No nose. No mouth. Just a blank, stretched skin-like surface, and the faint outline of cheekbones that matched mine. I felt sick. I rewound the footage 10 seconds earlier. There was nothing there. Then 1 frame later it appeared. No movement. No entrance. No transition. Just there, as if reality had glitched and dropped it into my room. I watched myself sleep on the screen, and something about that felt wrong on a deeper level. There's something unsettling about seeing yourself unconscious, vulnerable, unaware of what's lurking inches away from you. Then, at 3:07 a.m., the figure took a step forward. My heart pounded so loudly that for a moment I couldn't hear the audio. The thing moved closer to the bed, slow, deliberate steps, like it was studying me. It stopped right next to my head, and then it did something that made my skin crawl. It crouched down slightly, brought its blank, smooth face close to mine, and tilted its head the exact way I tilt mine when I'm confused. Perfectly. Almost. Practiced. It was copying me. I shut the video off immediately, but curiosity or fear forced me to open it again. I rewatched the moment, scrutinizing every pixel, and I noticed something new. When the figure leaned its head toward mine, my sleeping body twitched. Not like a dream twitch. More like I felt it. I don't know how long I stayed staring at the paused screen. Minutes, maybe. But eventually, something inside me snapped, and I said out loud, "No. No way. This is impossible." My voice echoed in the empty house. That was when a thought hit me not. Just a thought, a sinking certainty. What if this thing wasn't breaking in? What if it didn't need doors or windows? What if it was something wearing me, or studying me to eventually become me? A cold realization washed over me. Primera needed help. Someone who understood cameras, glitches, anything technical. Someone who wouldn't think I was insane. So I called Mark, one of my co-workers. He used to be a security systems technician before the warehouse job. "Bro, I really need you to check some footage," I told him. My voice was trembling and I tried to hide it. Mark laughed at first, thinking I was joking. But the moment he saw my face, he stopped. "Send me the files," he said. "Now." Before hanging up, he paused and added, "And Alavo, if this is some prank or some creepy pasta thing for your channel, at least tag me when it goes viral." I forced a small laugh, but inside, I knew. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't a story. And if you're watching this, subscribe, because I need this documented in case things get worse. And trust me, they did. Much worse. I sent Mark the files, both videos. Raw, unedited. The one from the living room, and the one from my bedroom that I wish I could erase from my memory. While the videos uploaded, I paced around the house like a trapped animal. Every shadow looked like it was stretching toward me. Every sound felt too sharp, too intentional. I kept checking the hallway, expecting no, dreading that thing to be standing there again, copying my posture, tilting its head the way I do. My phone vibrated. The videos had finally sent. Mark replied almost instantly. "Dude, I'm calling." Seconds later, my phone rang, and when I answered, there was no hello, no laugh, no sarcasm, just Mark's voice, low and uneasy. "Alavo? What the hell am I looking at?" "I don't know," I said. "Just tell me it is some glitch, please." He sighed, and it wasn't the reassuring kind of sigh. It was the kind that tells you the truth is about to hurt. "Let's start with the first video," he said. Living room. The figure behind you. Yeah, okay. So, I analyzed the shadows frame before. There's something wrong. Real shadows move slightly with ambient light changes. Airflow, even camera compression. But the thing behind you, it is zero thermal imprint. No light bounce, no depth mapping. It's not physical. My stomach tightened. So, what? An overlay? A projection? No, he said quietly. It isn't added. It's not even on the footage the way normal objects are. Man, I'm telling you, your camera is reading it like it's an extension of you. My breath caught. What does that even mean? I don't know yet, but it's definitely not a glitch. Your camera doesn't see it as a separate person. That line hit me harder than I expected. An extension of me. What does that even mean? Something attached to me. Something mimicking me. Something waiting to replace me. Before I could ask anything else, Mark said, "Let's move to the bedroom footage." The silence stretched long enough to make my skin prickle. Then, Alavo. Do you remember waking up at 3:06? Yeah, I whispered. Nightmare. Someone whispering my name. He took a shaky breath. The whisper isn't in the audio, but there's something else. What? The camera cuts for a fraction of a second. Not enough for a person to walk in, but enough for a displacement. My heart hammered. A displacement of what? A view that made my skin crawl. What are you talking about, Mark? I slowed the frames. Look carefully at 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 2 seconds. The version of you lying in bed. Twitches, but there's no muscular micro-movement before it. It's like someone pulling the strings from the outside. A cold shiver raced through me. And the figure? I asked. That's the part I don't know how to explain, he said. The figure appears in the frame exactly 1 millisecond after your body twitches. It's like it responds to you, as if it's synced. I grabbed the edge of the table to steady my hands. What are you trying to say? Alavo? Mark hesitated. I don't think this thing is trying to hurt you. I blinked. What? I think it's studying you. That hit harder than any threat could. Hurting me would be simple, but learning me, copying me, becoming me, that's something else. I swallowed hard. Can you come over? I asked. He hesitated again, this time longer. Yeah, he finally said, but I'm bringing Taylor. If this is some kind of break-in, she'll want to see it too. Taylor was his fiancée. She worked in digital forensics. She didn't scare Esily, but something told me that even she wasn't ready for this. Before hanging up, Mark said, keep your cameras on. Don't sleep. And Alavo, if anything else happens, anything at all recorded. And man, seriously, if people are watching this later, they need to subscribe. You need witnesses. He hung up, and I was alone again. Or at least, I hoped I was. But the house felt wrong. Heavy. Like the air was too thick. And then, for the first time, I heard it. A soft, dragging sound. Coming from the hallway. Not footsteps. Not breathing. Just the faint scrape of skin against the wall. Like something trying to learn how to walk. The scraping sound crawled slowly along the hallway wall. Not loud. Not urgent. Just deliberate, like something practicing how to move its own weight. I froze. For a moment, I couldn't tell if it was inside my house or inside my head. My instincts told me to run, leave the house, get into my car, drive anywhere. But something deeper, something primal, Ild may steal. It felt like if I moved, it would know. The scraping stopped. My throat tightened. The air felt too warm, like someone exhaled right next to my ear. I turned slowly, every muscle stiff, and looked toward the hallway. Nothing. Just darkness. Still, the atmosphere felt wrong. Like I wasn't alone, like something was standing just outside my field of vision, trying to understand my movements, trying to match my breathing, trying to synchronize with me. I swallowed hard and reached for my phone. My hands were trembling so badly I almost dropped it. I opened the camera app and switched to live feed mode. The hallway appeared on the screen, grainy, but visible. Empty. I exhaled, shakily. Okay. Then the screen flickered. Just once. Barely a second. But it was enough. Because for that single flicker, the camera showed someone standing in the hallway. Motionless. Facing the wall, head slightly tilted. My tilt. I blinked, and the figure was gone. My heart skipped. I lowered the phone and looked at the hallway with my own eyes. Still nothing. No figure. No shadow. But the air felt colder. Much colder. I stepped slowly backward until my legs hit the couch. I didn't want to turn my back to the hallway, but my brain was screaming at me to sit down before my knees gave out. That was when my phone buzzed. A text from Mark. We're on our way. 10 minutes. 10 minutes felt like hours. I typed back. Hurry. Before I could hit send, the hallway light flickered. Once. Twice. Then it stayed on brighter than usual, casting a harsh white glow along the walls. Something about the light felt wrong. Too sterile. Too sharp, and then a silhouette stretched across the floor. A long, distorted shadow. One that didn't match any object in the hallway. My breath stopped. I lifted the phone again with trembling fingers and aimed it toward the hole. At first, the screen showed nothing unusual. Then slowly the silhouette on the floor began to shift. Not the light. Not the walls. Just the shadow. It elongated, curving like a spine adjusting, and then it lifted its head. I dropped the phone. The clatter echoed through the living room like a gunshot. My pulse hammered in my ears. For a moment I couldn't hear anything except my own heartbeat. I forced myself to pick up the phone. The screen wasn't cracked. I opened the camera feed again and finally understood the worst part of all this. The figure didn't appear on the live camera, but it appeared on the shadow. My legs went numb. It was standing just around the corner, out of sight. But its silhouette was clear on the floor long. Still, perfectly frozen. Studying me, I whispered to myself, "You're not real. You're not real." Then the shadow leaned forward. Not a natural movement. Not gravity. It bent, like something didn't understand how a body should move. The figure's silhouette raised an arm slowly, stiffly, and pointed directly at me. My breath caught. Then the arm twitched and began to mimic my exact breathing rhythm. Up, down, up. Perfectly seen. That's when headlights washed through the window. Mark's car, the shadow jerked sharply, like it had been caught. And then it collapsed into nothingness. One blink, and it was gone. A second later, 3 knocks hit my door. Sharp. Human Alavo. "It's us." I ran to the door and opened it so fast the hinges squealed. Mark and Taylor stood there, both in hoodies, both out of breath. "What happened?" Taylor asked immediately. My voice cracked. It was here. Just now. It was Mark raised a hand. "Show us." And for the first time, I wasn't facing this alone. Mark stepped inside first, scanning the hallway with that technician instinct he never lost. Taylor followed close behind, her expression sharp, focused. Nothing like the calm, analytical face she usually wore. Ivan ela parecia sentir que a casa estava errada. "Close the door," Taylor said quietly. I did. The click of the lock echoed through the house like a warning shot. Mark nodded toward the living room. Show us where you saw it. I pointed at the hallway floor. The exact place where the shadow had stretched, lifted its head, and mimicked my breathing. It was right there, I whispered, but you won't see it with your eyes. It only shows up on camera or the shadow. Taylor moved closer to the spot, crouched down, and pulled a small flashlight from her pocket. Any temperature drop here? She asked. I shook my head. I don't know. I didn't check. I was too busy not passing out. Mark shot me a cornered glance, half concerned, half trying to read whether I was losing my mind. But once he replayed the videos again. The living room one, the bedroom one. His face drained. Taylor watched the footage next, and for the first time since I met her, I saw her take a step back. This isn't human, she whispered. Mark exhaled sharply. I told you. I swallowed hard. Just tell me I'm not crazy. Taylor locked eyes with me. You're not crazy, but you are in danger. Those words settled in the pit of my stomach like ice. She kneeled again and inspected the hallway floor. Look at this. She pointed at a faint smear, barely visible unless you were looking for it. A drag mark. Soft. Almost like someone had leaned a hand against the wall and let their finger slide. My breath hitched. It touched the wall. Taylor stood slowly. Something touched the wall. Mark turned to me. Did you see anything after the shadow moved? No, I said. It disappeared the moment your headlights hit the window. They exchanged a look, one that made my heartbeat stutter. That's consistent, Taylor murmured. With what? Primera dama ended. Primera dama ended. Mark hesitated, then, with something that isn't tethered to normal light. It's responding to a source. I blinked. Responding how? Like an animal, Taylor said. Testing territory. Testing you. Mark added, or like something that is still learning what being human looks like. That made my skin crawl. I stepped back, instinctively, hugging my arms around myself. A tremor ran through my hands. Taylor softened her voice. Look, whatever this is, it's not random. It's not here by accident. Mark nodded. It's tied to you, man. My chest tightened. Tied to me how? Before either of them could answer, the hallway light flickered again. Once. Twice. Then it shut off completely. Darkness swallowed the whole way. Taylor snapped her flashlight on instantly, but the beam bent strangely, like the darkness wasn't empty. Like it'd wait. Back up, Mark whispered. All three of us stepped away from the hallway, slow and quiet. Then a soft sound echoed from the darkness. Not footsteps. Not breathing. This time, it was my voice. A whisper. Low. Breathy. Mart. He froze. The whisper came again. Same tone, same breath pattern, same exact rhythm as when I speak. Taylor's eyes widened. That's not possible. I felt my stomach drop. The darkness trembled, like a silhouette trying to take shape, and then we saw a hand reaching out from the darkened hallway. Not fully formed. Not fully human. Just the outline. Shifting, assembling itself like it was building a copy from scratch. Taylor grabbed my arm. Alavo, don't move. But the hand wasn't reaching for her. It was reaching for me, mimicking my breathing, my rhythm, my presence. And then it spoke again, this time unmistakably in my voice. I'm here. The chill that went through me felt like it pierced bone. I whispered, barely audible. That's not me. Mark pulled out his phone. Turn on the hallway camera. No. I fumbled with my screen, swiping fast, almost dropping the device again. The moment the feed loaded, all three of us inhaled sharply. Because on the camera, standing, fully visible in the hallway, was me. Not a shadow, not a glitch, a full, perfectly shaped version of me. Same shirt, same posture, same facial angle, except the face was blank, still featureless, still wrong, still becoming. Taylor whispered, almost to herself. It's learning your appearance. My knees buckled. Without thinking, I whispered, if anyone's watching this later, please subscribe. I need witnesses. I need people who know I existed before this thing does. Mark grabbed my arm. Alavo, it's not just copying you. Taylor's voice trembled for the first time. It's trying to replace you. Alavo felt the weight of the night pressing down on him as he and Officer Harris edged deeper into the abandoned house. The old floorboards groaned under their feet, each step echoing like a warning they both tried to ignore. The smell of dust, damp wood, and something metallic lingered in the air. The shadows didn't just fill the corners. They leaned toward them, stretching like something alive. A faint scratching noise came from the end of the corridor. Harris lifted his flashlight, tightening his grip on his weapon. Stay behind me, he whispered. But Alavo was barely listening. His mind raced with every image his camera had shown him. The figure behind him, the blurred hand, the message spelled across his screen, his own face staring back at him moments before the footage cut. The deeper they went, the more his instincts screamed that they shouldn't be there. Still, answers were here, and he needed them. At the end of the hallway, a heavy wooden door stood cracked open. Cold air seeped through the gap, brushing against Alavo's skin-like fingers. Haris Poseid then nudged the door with the tip of his boot. It swung open with a long, trembling creak. Inside was a basement staircase leading down into darkness. Of course, Harris muttered. It's always the basement. They started down. The air grew colder, the smell stronger. Something Lavo couldn't explain what felt wrong in a way that didn't belong to normal fear. It felt familiar. Halfway down the steps, Harris froze. Alavo. His voice dropped. There's someone down there. Alavo's heartbeat slammed in his chest. Harris swept his flashlight across the space. A solitary figure stood in the center of the basement still, upright, facing the opposite wall. A man. Pale skin. Dark, almost wet-looking hair. Clothes that were torn and smudged, as if he had lived underground. But that wasn't the disturbing part? The disturbing part was that the man looked exactly like Alavo. Same jawline, same shoulders, same posture. Harris stiffened. You seeing what I'm seeing? Alavo couldn't breathe. The figure slowly turned. Same face. Same eyes, except the eyes looking back at him were hollow glassy. Dark pits, like the lens of a dead camera. Harris whispered again, but this time his voice trembled. The other Alavo smiled. A slow, stretched, unnatural smile, and then the lights flickered overhead. Once, twice, everything stuttered like a broken video feed. The other Alavo moved in a way no human body should, resetting, glitching toward them, like he was being edited frame by frame instead of walking. Harris raised his weapon. Don't move. Stay where you... But before Harris could finish, the lights cut out entirely. Pitch black. A scrape. A thud. A grunt of pain. Officer Harris, Alavo shouted. Silence. Then right next to his ear. Why did you leave me here? The voice was his own. Alavo stumbled back, slamming his shoulder against the wall. His hands clawed for something, anything, in the dark. The staircase, a railing, a door. A cold hand brushed his neck. He bolted up the stairs. Something chased behind him, its steps sharp and frantic, like bones tapping wood. Alavo crashed through the basement door and sprinted down the hall. No lights, no shadows behaving correctly. Everything felt stretched, distorted as if the house itself wasn't real anymore. He heard it crawling rapidly behind him. He didn't look back. He burst out the front door and into the night air, falling onto the dirt. He scrambled toward Officer Harris' patrol car, but the lights were off and Harris was nowhere in sight. His chest heaved. His hands shook. He fumbled with his phone, turning the camera on himself just to make sure he wasn't standing behind himself. The screen showed him gasping for air, terrified. Then the screen flickered. A second face appeared behind his shoulder. His own. The feed froze 10, glitched it, then wiped itself clean. The screen went completely black. A soft whisper drifted behind him. "You brought me home." Olavo spun around, but there was only darkness. No figure, no shadow, no duplicate, nothing. He didn't remember driving home. He didn't remember locking the doors. He didn't remember falling asleep. But when he opened his eyes, the next morning, his security camera had recorded all night. He didn't want to check the footage. Bateato. He opened the app at 2:43 a.m. The camera caught movement inside his house, a figure, standing in the hallway. Perfectly still. Head tilted at the same angle as his, wearing his clothes. Moving only when Olavo in his sleep turned over. Not approaching, not attacking, just watching, like a reflection waiting for its moment to step out of the mirror. At the final frame, the figure leaned close to the camera and whispered, "Subscribe. If you liked this story and want more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories alive and keeps the shadows where they belong."